Well, we're ready for the picks and bans now for game number 4. Maybe it'll be easier for them if they can be in the first pick selection, because remember, when you're second pick, you almost always have to ban away the Merlin and the King Arthur. So that means there's not really room for you to ban the Xbalanque or anything like that. If they were first pick, which is a moot point now as they are not, but if they were, maybe then they have room to ban the Xbalanque or at least pick it themselves.
And now I think all the pressure in the world's on Spacestation Gaming. Because
to win this game.
I don't think you can go down 2-0 in the games that you've actually played and take it to a game 5 and feel confident. There's been a lot of talk on Twitter. I said it on the desk. This would be one of the worst losses in the SPL that we've seen, and it's so unfair to Spacestation because of the position they've been put in. But that's just the reality of the situation now, and I imagine that they feel a lot of pressure to win this game as well, because I don't think they want to go to a winner-take-all game 5 either. That's
exactly right. In a situation where you were essentially gifted 2 wins, to not have been able to close it out, now your back's against the wall, and that's mounting on you, right? All that pressure, everyone's opinions. You've already struggled at the start of the season. I think they're 1-4 coming into this matchup. So it's so much that they're having extra that they're having to think about that I really think it makes it difficult. And now they also won't be able to see, because Xbalanque Ultimate's going to be happening again. I mean, again, they have to ban King Arthur Merlin. I don't know what else they can do.
Yeah, I agree. I would have liked to see them in first pick. I imagine Fafnir Freya is exactly where Spacestation's going to go again. I feel like you have to take the Fafnir away from Kalas, and Jeff's been playing it well enough that you're comfortable picking it this early on. I just think Spacestation was too passive in that last game, Finch. I mean, BaRRA dying and losing tier 1 and tier 2 tower was
really
a huge blow. BaRRA tries to hold the ultimate, maybe tries to box a little bit and get aggressive. He ends up dying on the cast up into the sky. Then he loses both towers because no one rotates over. I mean, someone from Spacestation has got to rotate in those situations.
I like this, though. They're just kind of taking away the comp eUnited had last game. You talked about it. The Xbalanque was the biggest problem in that game, almost certainly. But the Unbot's ultimate, I think, was right there next to it, almost 1A and 1B, in terms of its disruption in the actual fights themselves. So removing that is very strong, yes, and it's a unique thing that eUnited can't draft for themselves. They now have a decent amount of early presence and a good amount of control in the fights.
I think United's probably going to still look to pick up a Zeus before the second ban phase. It went so well for Tingz in that game that if Spacestation's going to overcommit, you need to be perfect on your backline dive in order to not get heavily punished by Zeus. And I just don't see that synergy yet from Aqua and Andy. They've been a little bit off, I think, on when they're diving enemy mid laners. And so as a mid laner, that's exactly where I want Zeus. If you're not going to do it perfectly against me, if you're not going to insta-kill me every fight, then I'm going to do too much damage and I'm going to win my team the game. And that's exactly what Tingz did last game. I've got no problem with him going back to Sylvanus Zeus right here. I think these are 2 great picks for United.
That's a good point. You pick Zeus almost accepting that he's likely going to die every fight and just wanting him to get his damage off. In a world where they're not even doing that part, where they're not even killing you every fight, then Zeus is one of the best things you could have. So yeah, certainly not a problem to pick that one up. I am a bit surprised they were so confidently going back into this Sylvanus again too. But to be fair, if they couldn't punish with the Fenrir last time, then the Unbots, I feel like, is even less punishment onto this immobile tree earlier on. So no reason not to go back to what worked for them so well.
I wonder if Spacestation's going to try and switch it up and maybe try and dive Vetium this time around on the Xbalanque. We saw it in the last team fight where Vetium and Big Man were right next to each other and peeling for one another, and that's very common to have your ADC and your mid laner peeling for one another. But in a lot of fights, they seemed a little bit more split up, knowing that Big Man was going to get dove really, really heavily. And Kalas was really in Big Man's pocket all game long in order to prevent that. And if Vetium's going to position that way in the mid game again, I think that Spacestation switching it up, diving the Xbalanque, getting rid of that ultimate in a defensive use instead of as an offensive disruption tool, then that could be a real big boon for them. Zeus is going to do a lot of damage to you whether he lives or dies. I think that Xbalanque is the one that you have to get off the table early.
Well, they move away from the Freya, despite BaRRaCCuDDa really having been relying on this pick. Jingwei is very strong, very, very safe, even more so than the Freya, so he shouldn't have to worry too much about getting pressured out. And if he feels like he can build into crit quite well with the Jingwei, the explosive ult obviously synergizes with that very well and has that path opened. So we'll see how this pick ends up going for him. It gives him a bit of late game presence there too, to kind of go along with some of the maybe mid they already have. So they can feel pretty good about where they're at right now.
Spacestation has a choice here. They need to ban another diver because Iceice and Benji are just working really, really well together right now. And so I think you want to take something from them that kills your backline effectively. I think that a Willish is an interesting one. I actually like it because this is very different than what I was just saying and something that dives the backline very well, but I think it's a good heads-up ban because you already have the Sylvanus ultimate that can knock you up. Hunbat's Jingwei, very susceptible to that gravity surge as well. I think that's actually a very heads-up ban that I wasn't considering from Spacestation that could have given them real problems.
It's smart to take that one away as well as take away the Bellona. We talked about that one last game, how when you already have the Achilles and Arthur's ban, Bellona is often considered third. So let's try and force Benji then into a different matchup. Then consider that it is Benji, and he likely can play anything. My man could probably just play Hercules right now and do very, very well.
And that would probably be a very good pick here. I mean, the only problem picking something like Hercules is Spacestation's already likely to build anti-heal to deal with the Sylvanus. You're kind of playing into it a little bit. Terra would be a good answer because Spacestation. Here's the trap that I'm worried Spacestation is going to fall into, though. As I said going into the last game, I think that they are at their best when they can utilize Andy, get early pressure, and try and play a lead. And they've played the early game pretty well. Last game wasn't perfect by any stretch, but it was the right sort of idea. And then they just get out team fought super hard. So the Terra was hovered, and it goes into the Ganesh. And honestly, I think I would have liked the Terra more. I'm just a little bit worried that Spacestation is going to overdraft for team fight, lose the early game, and then never have a chance to take an even team fight like eUnited had last game.
That definitely sounds like a line. We could see Spacestation falling down if they're not careful here in this one. They still have, it looks like, to pick for Venenu. They've already got jungle, solo, hunter, support. And certainly should be about in that order. Solo, jungle, rather. And so now we move back over to eUnited, where they still have their selections to make. They've got mid support, hunter, and still working on what they're going to give over to Ice and Benji. Look at this choice. Remember, what Benji picks up is kind of up in the air at this point. There's still a lot of good solo laners left that he could grab to try and punish this composition. What do you think that they need out of that solo presence for United?
Yeah, like I said, I think that Benji is always going to be the type that wants to be able to get onto the back line easily and win 2v1s and 1v1s. Hercules is okay here, though you can get disrupted on the pull-push combo by Ganesh pretty easily. Maybe even something like Sobek to really just take it as a full team fight composition and concede the early laning phase. Ravana is an interesting one. This could be either Naja or Ravana solo. Both can do it pretty well, but I'd imagine that I think I would like the Naja solo a little bit more. Just be the tanky initiator, take someone up to the sky, peel for the Zeus potentially, and let Ravana really dive the back line with full damage.
Yeah, he must like this matchup into the Achilles. Maybe it's the overhead kick or something like that that he thinks gives him a good chance there fighting into him. But now the Op Wash being hovered at the end of the game. Another immobile mage that can be the artillery fire that they need. If Fear No Evil comes down, if Ganesha has someone locked in, they've got a bunch of damage to follow up.
I don't like this pick at all, though, Finch. I mean, Ravana is one of the best dive assassins in the entire game, and immuning damage. Op Wash's damage is incredibly telegraphed. It's one, the slow corpse surge and this corpse explosion that takes forever. Ravana's never going to get hit by any of that. This is Spacestation gaming, I think, again, overdrafting for teamfight, and this composition just plays a little bit scared to me. This is a very defensive composition, and I don't think that's a style that Spacestation should be playing. I think that you wanna take the fight to eUnited here. This composition just screams we're on the back foot all game, and I don't think that's where Spacestation's going to end up shining. I would have much preferred a more aggressive mid selection than the Op Wash.
A very scary draft so far from eUnited. Spacestations, if they can keep their ground underneath them, still have a comp that can certainly get things done, but won't be an easy task. Game number 4, Spacestation up against eUnited. Tom and Toli bringing you the call.
Here we are, it's Tom and Toli bringing it to you, and ultimately I got to agree again with what Agro's saying. I think that Spacestation Gaming have kind of set themselves up to be on the defensive side, and I'm just not sure that's where they excel.
Well, they know that eUnited is going to be aggressive towards that mid to late game, and when you're dealing with space control between the Zeus and Sylvanus, Op Wash makes a lot of sense to try to counteract that. It's difficult to fight into emptying the crypts.
Certainly is. Certainly will be. And it certainly has been. BigManTingz brings a similar sort of presence with the Zeus selection, though. All 5 players from eUnited grouping up here, finding themselves in the jungle. But really, that's just to place a ward up far into the enemy side. That's exactly what they did last time around. Benji going to find Venenu's beads, slow him down, and root him for the moment. JeffHindla will show up, and that'd be that.
That's an important beats to burn, because that was the blink out of your solo laner. iceicebaby also having blink. Could have looked for follow-up, but it was only Venenu, and if he's maxing out the ring bounce, that slow wouldn't be enough, I think, to find the kill. So good hold on the beats, but expect iceicebaby rotating very early on that mid.
Aquarius here playing the Achilles this time around. Benji on the Ravana. should be a very similar game to what we saw in game number 1 as far as the solo lane is concerned. A lot of what I said there, I think I'll continue to say here about this matchup, being these warriors are both aggressive, and mainly just talking about Benji since he's on something different. Robin is similar to Tyr in that he's aggressive, he's going to look to dive you, he's going to look to really punch you out and be more on the offensive side, as opposed to just a space taker upper, a frontline guy, a taunter. He's certainly looking to deal more than peel.
Aqua trying to body block Jeff with a good slow. The stun from Aqua, and this could be first blood, F-Dot.
It certainly could be, but Benji just going to walk in the other direction. Ain't no thing. Spacestation Gaming, though, being chased up. Trouble for Vetium as Andy finds the monkey bounce, but BaRRA not going to follow up with anything after that.
Week 6 SPL, andinster has showed how willing he is to make his presence felt at level 1, specifically in the dual lane, whether it's defender or now a different kind of animal in the monkey.
Venenu's still in trouble. Drops the corpses for the distance and likely will be all right after that. But the monkey doesn't have nearly as much early game prowess as some of the other selections. That said, Andy did well in what the monkey does in utilizing the jump for the slow. So that was a strategy, but it just didn't work out.
iceicebaby still looking for Venenu. No blink available as he used it earlier. Venenu still no beats for another 45 seconds. Having to hold Venenu's hand is JeffHindla, making this important rotation, making sure this outwash not going to struggle in that very important early game. And a lot of action in the early game, rather, between the solo lane and mid lane. Aqua not finding the kill onto Benji, but forcing him out long enough to miss half a wave under that tier 1 tower.
This is fun. eUnited, I don't think they realized that BaRRaCCuDDa was there until right now. Collis just saw him.
He definitely knows now.
But BaRRa was sitting there for a while eUnited froze the wave, and he was getting all of the farm anyway behind the rock. And they look for him the first time, and BaRRa rotates around. They look for him a second time, and he rotates around. And the third time when they split up, I think Collis did sneak out the site. And so that sends BaRRa back to base. But that was kind of cute. I liked it.
Yeah, funny little interaction. I'm sure BaRRaCCuDDa was probably smiling about that one. He's like, these idiots think they're zoning me kind of deal. It's always a funny thing when you're able to kind of use that disguise to your advantage. Like, look, he's doing it again, rather. Callis, Vetium still holding the wave. No idea that BaRRa's right there.
Collis is going to look, but not see. He definitely doesn't see him just yet. BaRRa really utilizing this geometry well. We'll go ahead and split the purple. But that's real fun. I enjoy looking at that. That's funny.
In order for eUnited to counter that, they need to have a ward behind the Gold Fury to really identify if BaRRa's being that sneaky. And if that were to occur, Callis would probably just kind of zone him further with the roots, maybe finding some pulls from time to time. Jingwei is a great pick into the Sylvanus. Every time the Wrath of Terror comes out, you're just going to be able to agility away.
Benji being forced to base here by Aquarius as the two warriors slapbox it out on the short side. Jingwei coming back to lane with a whole bunch of farm waiting for her. And the mid lane, another group up from eUnited. So almost 4 minutes in here, folks. 20 seconds shy to be precise. And
wow.
A tie game almost down to the gold count.
Look at all those archers, though. That was 3 waves of archers grouped up for BaRRaCCuDDa to absorb. A lot of experience now for him. 50 extra per minute up against Vetium's Xbalanque. So BaRRaCCuDDa will win the level 5 race. The gold can be a different story there, though.
So last time around, we really wanted Spacestation to get off the ground quick. We saw the Tyr, we saw the Fenrir, and we wanted to be very aggressive, knowing that that's really where the game was going to be strongest for SSG. Was in that mid game, especially looking across the way and seeing characters like Zeus. Well, this is a much different story, Anatoly, as we still have the same scenario in the solo lane where both of these characters will, one, excel in the mid game and do a little bit more there. BigManTingz controlled, and he'll be taken down easily for kill number 1. Spacestation Gaming in the early game will get a kill.
And it doesn't matter if it's Fenrir or the Hunbass, andinster knows where exactly he has to be to take advantage. As Zeus was taken advantage of in game number 1 in the early game, same in game number 2, or I guess technically games 3 and 4 rather.
Sure, right.
But this is the difference between Zeus in the early game where he doesn't have that much damage yet, so you can still stay in that lightning storm, versus the later portion where you saw even Aqua and andinster wasn't enough at the end of the previous game to find the kill on Big Man.
I was actually surprised to see Andy even get involved at level 2. This level 6 gank a little bit more efficient, a little bit more effective, and certainly a little bit more of what we should expect out of the Jungle Monkey, Fear No Evil being so central to what he wants to do in the jungle. So SSG now, sure, I want to see continued ganks onto the Zeus, but outside of that, Fear No Evil, you'll look at the mid laner and the Puch. These are later game characters as well. I don't think we want to see the same amount of speed or urgency that SSG brought to game number 3 as we see in game number 4. I think SSG wants to be a little bit more slow and bide their time a little better.
Both teams have ways of displacing the opponents out of position. iceicebaby and Callus, whether it's the Windfire Wheels or the pulls, Venenu has to keep those two factors in mind, whereas for Big Man, that Fear No Evil is a big deterrence. JeffHindla can knock you up in place if you're not careful. A lot of follow-up damage could result in Aquarius' fatal strike. So these immobile mages have to have the vision surrounding their mid camps to know when all these melee characters are heading to. As the right side mid camps does get secured from Spacestation, that's exactly the same place that Big Man died in the previous game.
Look where Big Man is right now, standing on his tower. He was even further back than this before. And that's because he sees the group up from SSG in the mid lane. He wants to be the furthest back. He knows how quickly a Fear No Evil can take him down. And so the positioning of this mid laner is going to be very important as soon as he sees players group up.
He's having flashbacks from the last game where he died very early. And also great vision control at the top side between the blue and the back camps, between the back camps and the mid camps. I believe that was placed coming from iceicebaby. So the junglers need to assist the mid laners from wards from time to time.
Great vision from both teams, in all honesty, totally. It's almost symmetrical as to where the teams have their wards placed. And that, of course, when you look at the intersections that those wards are actually standing at, are going to be where the jungler is traveling. So you can always tell where the monkey is going to be, and he should not surprise BigManTingz, and vice versa for Ice onto Venenu. I say should, but we'll see.
That's true. It's hard to stop iceicebaby with the blink, right?
Yep.
But you can at least make necessary adjustments against andinster, knowing that he doesn't have that same blink.
Oh, well, here's Andy standing on his own sentry. That's why that's a sentry specifically, to make sure that he can't be, he's definitely not standing on a ward. But Spacestation opt to walk away from that scenario, and so Andy will leave the situation empty-handed.
Oracle's just now respawning. Both teams wanting to fight over it. Great team fights for both of them. Callus going to drop the heal, but Spacestation already secure it, and they're going to disengage.
Venenu gets grabbed. No beads being used. iceicebaby doesn't commit the ultimate either. So a nice little brain game there from Venenu as he walks away from the enemy Naja, no problem. Ring bounce will hit Ganesha, but no big deal. And we go back to our Hunter lane, where BaRRaCCuDDa has wrestled control for the moment.
Stolen that away. Not going to be able to pick that one up is Vetium. Getting it back to the laning phases of Jing with completed Devo gloves. Vetium still working to complete that item. Not going to freeze the lane this time. He needs to finish it off as soon as possible. Not to be behind in the power curve. And speaking of Jing versus Xbalanque, Vetium is going to be more impactful, I think, in teamfights with just the ultimate.
Sure.
But in terms of the DPS race and who's going to deal more damage as the teamfight progresses, that should be BaRRa's game. Utilizing that persistent gust agility combo with the extra attack speed, extra damage. You got splash AoE crits as well.
I mean, Xbalanque has the branching bolas, which are already going to do a ton of damage as well, provide a slow. I think when it comes to late game team fights, both these hunters are kind of even.
Not even in the blue buff now with a Fear No Evil. Ganesha from JeffHindla going to keep him in place. iceicebaby going down.
Really well played there by Jeff and the monkey to kind of turn things around and just combine their ultimates together.
Such zoning. Right? Like last game, it was Big Man and Callus between the Sylvanus and the Zeus. This time, it's going to be andinster's Fear No Evil alongside Jeff's Dharmic Pillars. Then you got emptying the crypts. We didn't see that third piece in the puzzle that Spacestation still has in their back pocket.
And that's important. Spacestation, I think, one of the things they could have learned and that they are learning is how to kind of spend their resources a little bit better. When you watch them in some of their earlier matches in the year, you see them expend all their ultimates and then wind up kind of high and dry while the enemy team goes, okay, we'll fight the Gold Fury now and you can't do anything. So with that in mind, Spacestation, I think, have had a little bit better control over what they're bringing from game to game, excuse me.
Benji going to get stunned out, but he's healing very effectively, I would say. up against Aqua. Getting Gladiator Shield after the Talaria boots. Left side, still more purple buff action, preventing Vetium from getting that necessary farm. Winning the stacking race so far, 30-3. 27 stacks differential, so about 4.5 waves, resulting in about 2 minutes. iceicebaby, though, taking Bear in the sky.
Barrow's going to land down at about 70%, and JeffHindla waiting on the bottom to ensure that there's no follow-up. Both the box and the silence. The corpses are dropped, and iceicebaby in a ton of trouble. Venenu will blow him up, and andinster on the backside looking to push out the support. Great job from Spacestation as a whole, identifying the threat, Andy zones, and then everybody moves on. Great, great fight.
Callus, not enough damage to secure the kill onto BaRRaCCuDDa. That didn't have Aegis quite yet, just now backing at level 12 to pick that one up, allowing them a free kill. iceicebaby thought that they had that damage in the books, but it just wasn't enough. They didn't respect the counter-engage potential between the Dharmic Pillars, between the Empty and the Crypts, and that time it was andinster holding on to his ultimate in case there's some more action now on the left.
That's why we really like the Ganesha pick here. Callus gets blown up by Andy and Venenu. Another combination. And staring directly at the Fear No Evil, one of the stronger ultimates in the game. 1-0-2 for the jungler out of New Jersey, and Spacestation find themselves just owing eUnited. 2,800 gold in the lead right now. Again, to the sky.
Venenu now the target of iceicebaby. Waiting on the ground is BigMan with the lightning. An easy pick, but the defensive ultimate from BigMan way off the mark.
Oh my goodness, and Spacestation are going to continue going. Aquarius opts not to dive the tower because Benji is in the neighborhood. And it's relatively low. BaRRa's going to make sure to avoid the damage thanks to an Aegis. Benji will expend one of his ultimates. We'll see what happens when it comes back up.
That BigMan ultimate was just nowhere near saving iceicebaby, unfortunately. A great offensive play in terms of finding the kill onto Venenu. But where was the defensive mindset on the retreat pattern? No one can really follow up there. Callus was reviving.
I think the defensive mindset was on himself.
Probably.
He just dropped it on the feet.
Yeah, he did. He was he wasn't even facing as to where andinster was.
It's like, I'm out, B. I'm leaving. See you later.
And that's generally your typical Zeus mindset, or most mages.
Which, to be fair, you know, we're kind of poking fun at BigManTingz. And while I think we probably could have seen a little bit more of effective placement, at the end of the day, as a Zeus, 9 times out of 10, your job is to drop the ultimate on your feet. So that's an instinct play. And while it could be improved, I'm not going to get too mad about it, but his teammate might.
That's true. That's true. It's so tricky for supports to figure out what's the necessary relic given the set of circumstances.
Sure.
Callus in the last game picked up the shell to start things off, and this time with the sprint, he can't get out of this one.
Not at all. Venenu says no as the tree falls down, and everybody hears the sound it makes. iceicebaby on the run as andinster loosely giving him a chase. JeffHindla's going to take more than he bargained for here. The detonate, the sash as well, but the jump on top will miss Ice, and so will the overhead smash. JeffHindla does a lot of damage there. Only Thebes right now as far as his prots are concerned.
Not having that many stacks quite yet for JeffHindla. Defensive ultimate out of Aqua. Benji using his offensively. Even the Thorns. Both of these soul laners are really smacking each other around in this game.
Benji was looking for that kill for sure. You can see the Talaria boots coming out for him one more time, but a return to the regular boots for Aquarius, and I think that all has to do with the presence of teleport. Benji again forgoes the teleport and goes for the blink, so he's got the speed boots, and Aquarius this time around it goes for the teleport, so just opts for the extra power on the booties.
Well, another thing that we got to consider as an Aquarius playing the Achilles has extra mobility using the shirtless passive, getting extra movement speed there. So it covers a little bit of the difference between picking up regular Warrior Tabi versus not going for the Talaria boots. But I'm liking the start out of Benji so far, going the Talaria boots, no teleport. Anytime you can find a way to min-max not going teleport to be more impactful in these mid to late game team fight goes a long way, especially when you're trying to penetrate these backlines.
Completely agree. And, you know, I think when you're looking at the top level players, you know, teleport becomes such an interesting, I don't want to call it a crutch because it can be looked at as necessary, and there are some strategies that will utilize it to the nth degree. But if you're not starting on the other side of the map and teleport, you don't need it for an advanced strategy. It really just becomes an easier way to get back to lane. So Benji's sitting here kind of gambling on his own skill and saying, you won't push me.
15 minutes in, Darkest of Nights, just to stop Space Station using, or rather doing the Gold Fury.
Nice play there. Benji going to jump over the wall for Jeff, who immediately hits him with the silence, which kind of deters a lot of what eUnited want to do. Jeff on the elephant has been really strong this game.
He definitely has. Almost finishing off his Gauntlet of Thebes stacks. Needs one more to seal the deal there, and I love his no hesitation from dashing away from the Zeus chain lightning. That would have heavily poked him out.
You learned that lesson the hard way the last time. Red buff dropped here, and the ultimate drops as far as Vetium is concerned. Box him in. Collis again, the target, the fear no evil. The big damage from Venenu won't be enough. Aquarius are for the backside, but the dot's good enough, and it's their deep as well. BigManTingz drops the ultimate, but it's off the mark again. eUnited walk away wounded. Spacestation Gaming take care of the red buff. They claim it for themselves, and now they're looking towards the Gold Fury. 16.5 in, up 6 kills.
It's up to Benji, iceicebaby, and Vetium to stop this Gold Fury, but Vetium's getting chased out. A beautiful Aegis to keep himself alive, forced to retreat. This Gold Fury getting dangerously low.
This is all Space Station Gaming's, and again, a strong play by andinster there, finding the teleport with the monkey, and Vetium making sure to use his relic when absolutely necessary. And so with the Gold Fury going down, Space Station Gaming stretch their lead and find themselves with a comfortable 4K. This is the largest lead of the contest so far. Games 1 and 2 forfeit. Game 3 went to eUnited, but Space Station had a nice 3,000 gold lead, maybe at the max. Now with 4K in this mid-game, this is looking a lot more comfortable for Space Station and their fans than it did earlier in the third game.
Similar theme to that third game, that Space Station get the early lead in kills, get the first Gold Fury, but 5 minutes slower than the last one. Still would rather have it sooner, but at the end of the day, with this kind of a lead now, it's Space Station not giving eUnited a chance to even do the Pyromancer.
This one's going to go down nice and easy as well. And you know, if I have to bring up something that I'm lacking from eUnited, it's got to be this iceicebaby. A very uncharacteristic game here from him on the Naja, who is arguably the character that put him on the map.
And iceicebaby needs to be the catalyst. We saw what he was able to do when Chapo subbed in, and then he came back into that game after LG. What a play. I didn't know if that was going to be a kill because BaRRaCCuDDa did have Aegis upon landing, but it just wasn't in time. Big man dropping the detonate.
We're just at that point of the game. It was a matter of moments where we see this sort of come out where the up and down is just a death sentence. Nice build here, making sure to get the CDR for iceicebaby. And then BigManTingz building into the Shaman's Ring, which I think is absolutely beautiful. We've had a lot of talk about ravana and how it synergizes very well with Zeus, because when you're hitting detonate, theoretically they're beneath the threshold. Well, Shaman's Ring, you literally can't cast detonate unless you've hit the target before. So detonate will always do 10% extra damage after the stacks, of course. So I love this mentality. Zeus is always looking for subsequent damage. Rainstorm is multiple ticks. Chain lightning can be multiple ticks. Detonate, you need that tick. It is all about damage after the fact, and so I love Shaman's Ring on the Zeus, and this is I like this build a lot.
The only way Shaman's Ring is not working with Zeus is if you're only basic attacking to apply the 3 stacks and then you detonate, because the basic attacks, they get extra damage once you do an ability, but if you're basic attacking, it doesn't apply the damage, that the extra damage from the ability. So as long as Big Man is using the lightning, the chain lightning, the shield, the lightning storm, that Shaman's Ring is going to go a long way. But it's not just a bonus 10% damage from this item. It's the movement speed to escape. Big Man in the last game with the Mantle of Discord was a great look for him to survive. This is another form of survivability, just not protections necessarily.
Exactly. Just everything you want as a Zeus. 100 power is really my cutoff for what I say is a lot of power. Under 100 is not. 100 plus is a lot. You got movement speed as well. everything a Zeus wants. Building into the Ob Shard, which is virtually required these days. So a nice build coming out from the Z-Man, who is pretty much the heavy lifter here for this squad. You see Benji's been doing work there on the player damage, but that's largely some solo lane fake damage, if you will. iceicebaby has been engaging, but not really getting anything for his engagements. But it's him and Zeus that have been combining to find the only 2 kills that eUnited have amassed.
You could just cut the tension with a knife F-Dot. Despite Spacestation getting the Gold Fury 2.5 minutes ago, getting the Pyromancer 1 minute later, no towers were stripped away.
Right.
Only the Tier 1 solo tower from Spacestation was plucked away by eUnited, as that was left unchecked. And eUnited are the ones to look to play offensive.
Benji blinks on Andy, who trades out the beads. And meanwhile, Andy going to go forward. Vetium uses the beads preemptively and won't get controlled at all. Aquarius from the right side hits iceicebaby, who's down to half. And there won't be an execute. Venenu and Aquarius show up, but a great pull from Collins. 3-man knockup. There's the ultimate out of Venenu, chasing eUnited into the wrong direction. Benji barely alive, available for an execute. Not going to be used. Aquarius walks away, and a great ultimate from BigManTingz to confirm that Aquarius will walk away. Spacestation Gaming get a whole lot of almost. And no cigars.
How did no one on either side die there, F-Dot? Impressive shell sprint from Callus, pulling also JeffHindla to secure a 3-man knockup. He did it last game, he did it again in this one. His pulls have been phenomenal. The space control from both of these teams is to be respected. I love the fact that andinster re-engages once he saw the blink coming out of Benji, but no one else was really there from following up.
Well, no one was there to follow up, sure, but I think that the fact that there was no follow-up was a decision made. Vetium, shout outs Vetium. As soon as he sees the monkey TP, he beats. He did not get controlled by the ultimate one bit.
Benji using that overhead kick could mean go time as andinster jumps over. iceicebaby with the Windfire wheels. That could be a good idea for a primary engage from eUnited. Mystic Rush just now coming off of cooldown from Benji. This Gold Fury, the first one went to Spacestation, and they're pulling it again.
An Oni Fury one more time, and the box will be dropped to try and prevent players from walking in. BigManTingz uses his ult. That one a little less effective. Spacestation walk away from the Oni Fury for now. I really like Jeff's ultimate. It really cut off a lot of entrances, but SSG did not feel comfortable committing the Oni Fury right there.
That's right. JeffHindla's was a great zoning ultimate, but BigMan's was kind of to counteract those Dharmic pillars. He put the circle next to the square to make sure Spacestation wasn't going to chase anyone out, but at least it slowed down the black and yellow side from getting their second Fury.
Just a little bit. Damage on top of Aquarius. Bottom side, Fear to able to control Vetium. But Andy has to jump on out. Collis uses his ultimate right there. Venenu takes care of iceicebaby as he empties the crypts. Benji in trouble. Pop, pop! As Aquarius drags Benji down to the ocean. And Spacestation Gaming start it one more time. Oni Fury down to 50%. eUnited out of here. And SSG will take the objective.
Spacestation so patient, baiting out the aggressive nature from eUnited. iceicebaby and Benji wanting to find something, like pulling water out of a cactus, but nothing was there. andinster jumps away from Callus's ultimate, very lackluster. BigMan's ultimate was still on cooldown from the previous hold that he did, and that just allowed Spacestation the freedom to get these 2 melee picks, the freedom to get this Oni Fury. Now Spacestation going to have to worry about their lanes eUnited's going to have to worry about some of their lane defenses while Spacestation can kind of look towards the right side of the map now.
Real interesting there. Really interesting to see SSG kind of do that. That was a real intelligent situation to be in. I liked their decision making, something that I did not like last game. And so 24 minutes in, we've got 11 kills, and 9 of them belong to SSG. eUnited trail by 6,000 gold, give or take, and Spacestation Gaming looking for the right side of the map.
It's going to come down to who is more patient between these two teams. They have so much AoE damage. The Zeus versus the Outposh. That's almost the theme of this game.
Yeah.
It comes down to Venenu's damage versus BigMan's damage. Still waiting on some more survivability from BigMan with the Mantle of Discord, but Venenu thinking of utility style, getting the slow proc from this Gem of Isolation.
A beautiful play, and we'll discuss it maybe now. Fire Giant going down very easily. 20 seconds short of the enhanced, and they probably like it that way. Big boy knockup coming out from Collis, and iceicebaby will take one to the moon and land right into the bad weather, but the detonate good enough. Ice gets one, Benji gets another, Andy on the run, trying to get away from Vetium, and he will. Aquarius locked down though, finds a dash on out of there.
The slows are so good, the stuns are even better. BaRRaCCuDDa forced the beats, airstrike away. Benji not going to give up the chase quite yet, going to slow down Aqua for a little bit, overhead kicking the stun. Callus off the mark with the pull. It's going to allow eUnited though to get this tier 2 tower, not wanting to overstretch past that, but losing 2 members after the Fire Giant. SSG, they invested Venenu's ultimate and andinster for the zoning, making sure nobody would steal it, but then after the fact, they couldn't disengage from a force fight from eUnited. Callus drops the root, and then a perfect Zeus ultimate to follow.
Andinster doesn't get the tier 1 and will still die here.
I don't know.
No. Aquarius on the backside gets BigManTingz somehow. That's what you do with a teleport. Able to get BigManTingz off the map from the flank style. And that alone, with a little bit of an ultimate of his own, will save the life of Andy. I'll tell you right now, Tully, the ultimate out of Venenu on Fire Giant, I think, was the mistake. Now, it provided a lot of damage to allow SSG to actually finish the Fire Giant, but better off using that type of ultimate, especially with the itemization built with respects to the Gem of Isolation, as a PvP ability, if you will. I'd rather see that. I'd rather see Spacestation have to walk away from that Fire Giant, not being able to do it, drop that, empty the crypts, and be able to successfully eject, than use it for DPS and die after the fact.
That's true. The one take that I have is that Venenu shouldn't ulti with andinster's ultimate. There should only be one of those ultimates invested, so you can use the other for the disengage, because Fear No Evil can save the same purpose as emptying the crypts for the disengage.
Perhaps even the re-engage. Not deterred, though. Spacestation Gaming, 3 players still with the Fire Giant, and perhaps the most important one, BaRRaCCuDDa. Not saying he's the most important, you know, I'm not Gwen Stefani-ing him here, folks. I'm saying that when you're looking with the Fire Giant, your hunter needs to have it. He's the one taking care of the towers. You get what I'm saying, right, Tully?
Yeah, there's some spider webs in this room. I could see them.
Shout out to Tully for the deep cut reference. Something I did not expect. The old ska. Spacestation Gaming trying to skank their way in here, led by ska professional JeffHindla. He still just listens to ska all day.
I'm sure he does.
It's very Long Island of him, to be honest with you, but if you turn on his stream, it's just Mustard Plug and ASOB and Real Big Fish all day.
Especially on Sunday mornings.
Well, I mean, that's what keeps his attitude so positive, I guess. Spacestation Gaming, not many reasons for them and their fans to be positive as of late, as they have kind of failed on the standing side of things, but this scenario is certainly a good one. They have 2 games above eUnited at the moment. If you're late to the broadcast, well, eUnited was too. That's why Spacestation have those 2 wins. 1 away from taking the set. eUnited did take game number 3, which was the first played in the contest. So SSG have a ton of momentum here, despite the fact that they've lost the first game played. They've got all the lead in the world. The Fire Giant is around them for just a little bit more. The Gold Fury will go in their direction most likely if they commit, and I'd like to see them commit because they can take this fight, Anatoly.
They could. They have all their ultimates. The only problem is Venenu doesn't have that much mana for himself to be useful if the fight lasts a little bit too long.
Aquarius isn't here.
Having to defend that right side lane that was getting dangerously close to your Phoenix. It's always a bad feeling when you have to defend the Phoenix, but you better defend it as opposed to just letting it chipped away, because if you lose the fight, then you just all of a sudden losing the Phoenix to AI.
And the Fire Giant has been stripped. Fell off, I suppose.
That's
right. Spacestation Gaming still looking for the big one. The box drops by. Support player. Collins controlled as well by the totem. Gold Fury goes the way of Spacestation, but that's it. Now they need to get out of the fight. They've used 2 of their big boy ults. Aquarius still has the execute, and the crypts are still open, which is the trap. Spacestation Gaming luring eUnited in. Collis is stuck in the crypts. You're going to be executed by the wrong player. Venenu pops him down. Aquarius still pushing forward. 2 players caught in the rain, but it's not that big of a deal. It's a 5-on-4.
They're keeping the pressure forward. iceicebaby could be between a rock and a hard place as everyone from Space Station Gaming turning their attention towards him. But after that 1 Gold Fury, they're going to look for the Fire Giant instead, not wanting to overstretch to the Tier 2 tower. They need to use this 5-on-4 power play while Callus is still dead.
iceicebaby getting out of here nice and easy. Chasing a Naja is almost as fruitless as chasing a Circuit. You're just never going to catch up to him. He's got a speed buff. He's going to go faster next time he walks next to a wave or anything. It's
the blink as well.
Yeah, so you're just not looking for it.
I love the last play from Aquarius. Blinking in the backline, zoning Vetium for that long, forcing a very early defensive Darkest of Nights, allowing Space Station to get that goal fear. And then eUnited were like, hey, listen, we got to do something as a result of this, right? So sprint by Callus, but that all put them in such a weird position that allowed Venenu to fully capitalize.
And that was the thing, is that Space Station have been expending all of their ultimates in these engagements, and that's how eUnited has punished them. Space Station adjust mid-game, and they use Andy and Jeff's ult, but they leave Venenu's. So that when eUnited re-engage, which was inevitable because of the giant fight, Space Station goes, surprise, we've got this under our sleeve. So eUnited fall down to that team fight. The Pyromancer goes to Space Station for free, as it should.
Pretty
4 players around the FG.
Very comfortable. Space Station Gaming with this lead. 31 minutes, 8,000 gold. eUnited hoping Space Station are going to do this Fire Giant so they can kind of say something about it with their ultimate. Speed buff actually being picked up by BigMan, knowing that he might be the next target.
Exactly. iceicebaby is going to be able to rotate around this team fight by way of speed as far as his ring bounce is concerned. His ult is a dash. Sash is big. It's BigManTingz that's going to need the extra movement speed in this team fight. So I like this call right here.
And iceicebaby doesn't necessarily need that movement speed, having winged blades, Hilaria boots, the ring bounce increasing his movement speed. So
shout out to the Shield of Regrowth as well.
Yeah, look at that one.
No boots goofing.
No longer 20% CDR though.
You were on the cast with me, weren't you?
Yeah, I was.
It was you.
Too many times with the Shield of Regrowth days.
It had 20 CDR. What do you want from me?
I remember.
It was busted.
It's pretty good.
It was busted, Anatoly.
The reign of Thanatos.
Oh my goodness. What a world. People ask me why I have 6,000, 7,000 worshippers on Thanatos.
Because of Shield of Regrowth.
I say cooldown boots and Shield of Regrowth.
Yeah. That'll do it.
That's what you would buy, cooldown boots, Shield of Regrowth. And that's it.
Wait, cooldown boots on Thanatos?
Yeah. Ninja Tabby used to be cooldown and not attack speed. Think back. Think back, Tully.
Okay.
You don't remember when Assassins had access to cooldown boots? It was obnoxious.
I was still stuck in the Soul Lane days, picking up my Warrior Tabi the whole time.
Assassins with cooldown boots. No, thank you.
Fire Giant now being thought about. Both of these teams very close to each other around it. It's going to come down to this pull. It gets it. Callus gets it, but no one else really there to follow up. The ring bounces into an Aqua, penetrating the backline, forcing multiple relics.
And there's BigManTingz dropping the ultimate. Space Station Gaming looking pretty cool after that one. Benji still has his ult for a dive, and Callus still has his ult for a punishment. Or Benji has his ult for an escape, and Aquarius trying to get through, trying to find him, but Benji in traffic is able to find an exit. The crypts are dropped, and 2 players will be slowed, and iceicebaby in trouble will find an exit to the right side. With that in mind, a ward dropped by SSG to see who leaves the tower.
Oh no, andinster's looking for the flank. He's in prime real estate position, but the rest of his teammates are going to disengage, allowing an opportunity for Callus to heal up all of eUnited. Remember, last game, the longer the fights lasted, it favored eUnited. Sure. This game is no different, seeing how Callus is still playing the Sylvanus.
Well, Venenu has a little bit of HP 5 for himself, and we can see some of that nonsense. But you're right. I think that eUnited have a little bit more of the traditional heal. Space Station Gaming there. I respect the fact that they play it safe. because one of the things that Space Station are focusing on is playing their lead better. That's what they've mentioned in multiple interviews. They're just not finishing games out. They're not playing their lead well enough. And so I like that SSG are playing this safe to an extent.
Yeah.
I feel like we have seen some missed opportunities.
United now blinking in the backline. BaRRaCCuDDa was the original target, but he barely took any damage. In fact, the same amount was dished onto a tankier target, onto Benji, chain lightning from BigMan. Not dealing too much damage. With Callus healing up from eUnited, Space Station Gaming want to return the favor.
Red buff cleared by eUnited. Space Station still looking for the objective. That's an Oni Fury, and Ganesha gonna drop the box because of it. iceicebaby invades, and Space Station will back off a little bit, but JeffHindla goes down. Vetium on the good side, and nobody really dealing damage from SSG. BaRRa's got to get out of the fight as well.
He's out of it. It's a 5-on-3 now. eUnited trying to force it, but a great ultimate out of Andy. Aqua having thought about using that ultimate, but Benji dying so fast that it's going to be a 180 fatal strike instead. Now a 4-on-4. BaRRaCCuDDa back in the mix with that passive.
Andinster's here. Big stun coming out from Aquarius as he jumps in and stuns everyone. BaRRa's back thanks to the passive, like you mentioned. And Aquarius is here to zone. Space Station Gaming pick up the Oni Fury. Crit, crit, crit! And Space Station kind of lose the fight, but play it really intelligently, are able to re-engage, push the enemy off, get the Gold Fury, the Oni Fury. So they maintain a 10,000 gold lead, and there will be an army of angry minions pushing up the next wave.
You're right, F-Dot. That fight was really awkward to watch out of Space Station because Jeff was zoning in such a manner that it made it seem like Space Station was going to do something with that zone, but instead the Gold Fury was still being attacked. And a 36-minute Gold Fury, there doesn't need to be that much of a contest over it. Like, just look for the fight. Like, securing it isn't going to win you the game.
Well, Oni,
like a fire giant.
I think Oni at this point is very, very different.
It's good. Don't get me wrong. It is good, but it's not going to win you the game the same way a fire giant will.
Sure, but the Oni, I think, leads to the fire giant, because right now, eUnited can defend. But once this Oni wave starts pushing up and taking care of these minions, the Oni wave will get a Phoenix if unchecked.
Yes.
And so eUnited have a little bit to kind of fight, but at some point they have to go take care of the Oni. And if Space Station Gaming don't lose position by that time, eUnited will back to go take care of the Oni, and that's Space Station's window to either fight 5 versus 4 because one person is back, or just take the fire giant because eUnited has relinquished it because of that Oni. I think now is when the Oni Fury really flexes.
It's really good because it gave enough of a window for Jeff to respawn in this fight, but eUnited not capitalizing off of the 1 kill and off of forcing out BaRRaCCuDDa back. Now thinking about poking eUnited under their tier 2 tower, gonna have to return the favor from BigMan. Not at the top of the charts the same way he was in the previous game.
Right side still being pressured by SSG, and eUnited actually going to push them out. The left side Oni wave taking care of the tier 2 tower. And as I said, eUnited on the clock now, because that wave is going to take a Phoenix.
Who's going to back to defend it? Is the question that that eUnited have to ask themselves. Space Station not pulling the fire giant on purpose, playing around this left side Oni wave perfectly.
And it's iceicebaby that's going to back. Space Station Gaming, do they realize that? Because they're looking for a fight now.
That tier 2 tower is very low. They could even force that one out with Ice on the left side.
This is going to be the look. Puch clears the wave. You know what he says? Wash. Then he takes the tier 2 tower, nice and easy. Space Station Gaming walk away. 12 kills to their name. And they, again, the Oni Fury just got Space Station Gaming 2 tier 2 towers. One, it takes care of the tier 2 tower on the left side, then it draws the player away to force the fight 5-on-4 for SSG, and they get a Pyromancer. That was very, very well played around the new objective. I really enjoyed that from SSG.
Leaps and bounds of improvement between today and yesterday from Space Station. The way their mid to late game has looked cleaner, I would say.
Sure.
Maybe not the last game, but this game, yes. Utilizing their objective control, playing their lead more. It's time for them now to think about how they can execute this Fire Giant. The last time, it was risky because they invested both Andinster's ultimate and Venenu for the zone and for the control to secure that, but then the fight that eUnited forced afterwards really hurt Space Station with those two ultimates down. Needing to be a little bit cleaner now that it's enhanced especially.
Love the builds coming out as we see the speed elixirs being used. Aquarius opting for a shifter's shield, an item rarely purchased, very expensive, but 6 items in, you're selling your boots. Go for broke, baby. iceicebaby nails the same. Andy opts for the defensive option. He's going to jump in the middle of everybody and drop an ultimate, so he might as well have a Mantle of Discord for when everybody tries to punch him.
Vision control battle over this objective. You can tell that eUnited want to defend this. They don't have to worry about the left side Phoenix any longer with a good push from iceicebaby. And they're utilizing Callus as their frontline buffer. Having the Mad Guy's cloak, he can absorb at least one form of CC and still look for a pull.
And then after the fact, he'll likely buy a mantle of his own. We'll see where that goes. Space Station Gaming in one of the best positions they've been in all season, frankly, to take the set up 2-1. Carlos going for the pull and won't find it. Jeff walks away. So SSG right now, again, what are they looking for? They're going to be looking for, I think, an overcommitment from eUnited, and they don't want to engage, ideally, with that Zeus ultimate up. I think they want to kind of juke in to force Big Man, and then juke out, and then re-engage.
Pull a little bit off the mark onto JeffHindla. Chain lighting off the
Look
mark
at Andy.
from Big Man. Andy was getting bullied, actually, earlier.
Yep.
It was kind of funny to watch Andinster run away from Benji as Benji's just like literally walking forward. He's like, I'm going to get your Mad Guy's cloak. And he hits him with the 3. Now that's going to be on cooldown for 40 seconds.
BigManTingz, look at his positioning here, and I love it. He's keeping his distance away from the other wall. He noticed that Andinster was there, and he drops a ward even to make sure. Now we can have a fight, we will. Ganesha drops the box, Vetium already in trouble, execute range. He'll have to find an exit down south. Aquarius now surrounded, but finally, the monkey comes from over the wall and sends Vetium under the ground. JeffHindla pushing forward, Aquarius all in. Space Station Gaming, they put all their chips in the middle of the table and say, let's keep going. Venenu, 3 kills without a death. Everybody else gonna run tucked as they find themselves into the fountain, but the right side Phoenix will be under attack by SSG.
I don't know if this is going to be game, though, F-Dot. Everyone a little low from Space Station. They're going to get the right side Phoenix unless they can't. Benji has something to say about this one.
Benji gets 1. He's going to find Venenu as well. Just a matter of product coming up. And he's going to fix that face. Ice is here, and Aquarius going to get in trouble as well. Oh, no. Space Station shot out of the sky.
Wow.
Space Station Gaming, BigManTingz escapes that team fight by the skin of his teeth. And that is what allows eUnited to kind of fight on back.
It started off so well as Aqua dives the backline, forces both of the hyper carries out between Big Man and Vetium, and then Andinster patiently awaits for the flank to seal the deal. But it just wasn't enough because Benji does the same thing on the defense. That right side Phoenix Siege, that Venenu ultimate, I think it must have just came off of cooldown. It was used when Benji was already jumping into that backline.
Just rough. And now eUnited off of the team fight victory is going to get the Fire Giant. No chance to survive, make your time. And SSG will not quite watch. They can't even make it there. They will just listen. The Fire Giant goes down at the 43-10 mark. Space Station Gaming. Letting
so
the
close.
world fall between your fingertips.
So close towards getting that right side Phoenix. I don't mind the call. I don't hate the call.
I like the call.
Benji was just such a thorn on their side that they couldn't do anything about it. In hindsight, go for Fire Giant, but I'm not mad that Space Station made that call. They needed to get something there.
That's the kind of fight you want to see them take. They're up 10,000 gold. Shove out that lane.
You don't expect a Ravana to be able to 1v4 the same way that most other solo laners can.
I mean, you say that.
He did a lot of damage. He has, what, Brawler's Speed Stick, Void Shield, Blackthorn's Hammer. Those are his physical power items.
Yeah. That's a lot of
I
power.
guess that was enough. Spacestation were not the healthiest bunches. They were around that 25% to 60% health threshold. And that makes that middle of the pack physical power build from Benji that much better.
45 minutes in. A little bit south of that. The Space Station Gaming still have a gold lead, but we're tied up here for all intents and purposes. It's a best of 5 in Space Station Gaming. If they take one game, will take the entire match. But eUnited, on the other hand, trying to say absolutely not. Benji under the Tier 2 Phoenix is trying to control Andy and Aquarius, while the rest of the squad on the left side pushes forward. No ultimates dropped just yet, so nobody full committing.
A 3-2 split. Solo and jungle versus jungle and solo. Left side Phoenix about half health. No ultimates expended quite yet. eUnited can do this all day utilizing their enhanced fire giant.
iceicebaby and Benji with 3-2. BigManTingz takes care of BaRRaCCuDDa, and the
pull.
left side bird will be finished as well. JeffHindla on the retreat drops the ultimate, but BigManTingz pulls the trucker horn and sends Ganesha back to base the hard way. 11 kills for eUnited. 5 of them belong to Zeus.
Look at iceicebaby. He saw Venenu used his beats alongside the fountain. He's looking for the blink play now with a 5-on-3 power play. I think eUnited got game 4 in the bag.
They're going to push forward onto the Titan. The defensive ultimate from the Opwash is good. eUnited pushed off, but andinster, fear no evil, could be in trouble as well. BigManTingz with the chain lightning takes down the jungle monkey. It's only Venenu and Aquarius. Venenu up front, Aquarius on the backside, and all in jump. Players going into the fountain. Benji going to be executed, but the Titan goes down nonetheless. We're going to a game 5. It's tied up at 2 as eUnited take it down.
They're about 1 game away from reverse sweeping Space Station Gaming. They crumbled under that right side Phoenix because of that man at the forward side of your screen. Benji with the Ravana plays defending the Phoenix in a 1v4 scenario.
Just ouch. Space Station Gaming, they've had games taken out of their hands before, but not as convincing as that last one. A 10,000 gold lead squandered off of a fantastic play by eUnited. Again, we were kind of in agreement. It's not even a bad call from SSG. Just Space Station getting grounded by eUnited.
But there can be no bad calls to find victories in the SPL in Season 6. There needs to be damn near perfect play. eUnited is not one to give any wiggle room. They will punish you with these 2 games in a row. All momentum going to eUnited.
Rough stuff in this one. Space Station Gaming being headed to a game 5. So this one should feel just like nothing happened. A single game set for everybody to kind of deal with and see what the opponent can bring. We've seen early game out of SSG. We've seen late game out of eUnited both times. Very curious to what we'll see after.
The teamfights got a lot better for Space Station, so that's improvement for game 4. But game 5, if they can somehow sweep that game 4 under a rug, I still have hopes for them, despite losing the previous 2 in a row.
Gameplay's been there, just not the victory. We'll break it down on the desk.
And now Space Station Gaming in a very difficult situation after that unfortunate loss they just took. eUnited tied this thing back up to 2-2. Remember, they gifted away 2 to get this set started up, and they have been on fire ever since. Aggro, what did you see? Was it just that call at the end of the game?
Yeah, Space Station played great, and they make one bad call. I completely disagree with FDOT and Tolly. I think that call to go for right Phoenix is just wrong 100% of the time. It's the closest Phoenix to go to fire. Everyone is 60% health. That is not enough to tank a Phoenix effectively, but Enhanced Fire Giant, everyone's so scared of it these days. It's not that bad when you have all 5 on it. It does a lot of damage when you, A, tank it incorrectly, so do it better, and B, when you've got 2 or 3 people on it, in those magma attacks will focus 2 to 3 people.
Right, and they're not
spread out across 5, it doesn't do that much. You add into the fact that Benji doesn't have teleport that game. He goes Blink Thorns. You know he can't get to fire in time. It's just a bad call to go for right Phoenix, and they throw the game because of it. And it feels horrible because they do so much so well through the first 42 minutes. They completely revamp their team fights and are doing a much better job of baiting X-Ball ult consistently. Andy has a great game on the Hun Batz, just a phenomenal game for him. Venenu plays the Opwash and completely changed my mind on the pick. I thought he played it great. Everyone's doing everything right, and they make one bad shot call to go for right Phoenix, and the game is over because of it.
I agree with you on that call at the end of the game, but to be honest with you, I felt like Spacestation missed some opportunities throughout that game. It really still feels like to me Spacestation are a little bit afraid at times to pull the trigger, even when they're out in front, even when they have every advantage and when they've baited some ultimates. Aqua held his ultimate in
a million
so
times.
many of those team fights, Ryan, where they could have at least gotten one pick and they end up stalemating back out and finding nothing on the back end. I think they're still just a little bit too afraid to pull the trigger in big moments.
I agree with you. I think that in particular, this Ravana was such a problem for Space Station, and I feel like Aqua was just holding his execute because he thought Benji had his 2 up in so many situations where Benji had already used the 2. And that just tells me that communication isn't there. That,
Sure.
that you need to be communicating that how long that overhead kick cooldown is going to be. It just didn't end up happening. A real heartbreaker. And then on the left side, Phoenix, BaRRaCCuDDa is too close, gets hit by a chain lightning that 100 zeros him in when he uses his Aegis a little bit too early. You just have to do a better job of spacing there if you're BaRRa and whoever got hit from the chain lightning. If BaRRa just was close enough to get hit by the 2 and then the chain lightning, then that's obviously really bad. But I imagine that bounced off of somebody. You got to stay spread out. You got to stay far away. I mean, you've been playing against Zeus since Alpha. You got to know how he plays.
And can I say that I think Tings has played really well for eUnited in the sets that we've seen from them so far, including this one too. I was looking through Twitter, I saw a bunch of some of the other pros saying they think that Tings has been playing at a really high level.
Agreed.
And I think they're right too, man. This guy's really stepped up. In fact, throughout his entire career, he's just been that guy, right? You call on his name, it feels like he never gets that many accolades, and he's rarely the reason your team is losing. He's done a good job, I think, being kind of that glue for this eUnited team, because they put the target on his back a lot. They love to make him play some of these immobile characters that can blow the team up, where his execution has to be really good, and he answers the call.
I agree. Ever since moving to mid lane, I think BigManTingz has really become not just a role player, but a prominent player in the league. He's really looked like a star in the mid lane for the majority of the time. I think that in the early game, he had a couple rough ultimates and positioning woes that didn't really work out for him, but was able to turn around in the late game, and that's just something Zeus does. You get to those late game team fights in the jungle, and you know you're one good chain lightning away from insta-winning your team a fight. That's why he's so dangerous.
I am still Zeus. Let me just, I'm still
just
still
press
Zeus.
one, hit the tank, it bounces between the carries, and they're both dead, and now we win.
Detonate.
Yeah, that's the good stuff.
Not bad at all. I know why you like him now.